Okay, and we're live from my bedroom, and we're on the road. And I love that I have sponsors giving me the reason to get that reach out there. And first, I'd like to thank...
Tires.com.
No, that's just tires.com. And I also like to thank...
TrulyMe.com.
No, it's .ca, and it's truly you. Okay, kids. Oh, I see. I gave you way too much sugar. I like to thank the public school system for those announcements. But we have a good time when we went to those places. Both of those places we exist. Did you have a good time when we went to Tires?
Yeah.
What did you have when we went to Tires?
Donuts. Ice cream.
That's what we had. But before we talk to our guest, first...
Theme song.
Yes, I signed my soul on the dotted line. Okay, we're back, and we're live from my bedroom, and we're online. And this week, guys, I want to tell you, this guy is more to me than you'll know. He's a mentor. He will help you. He's never given me the raw goods. He'll tell you exactly what he sees. He's not pulling punches. He'll tell you exactly what's going on. He's a mogul in Canada. If there's anything like an icon, he's a Canadian icon. He is a mogul as well as someone who started a little something called Yuck Yucks. But it's actually not called Yuck Yucks. It's called Mark Breslin's Yuck Yucks, bringing the brand to you. He's done way more than that, I'm pretty sure. He's the back of launched several stand-up comedians, if not hundreds, but more than you would know of people who have used his clubs as a platform to superstardom, if not using his help on the way. I would like to say invite him to our bedroom, but because my kids are a little bigger and my wife is using things that my oldest son is now recognizing, we're now live from my living room, but the show is still called Live from My Bedroom, which is interesting. So I have a 10-year-old son, and I have an 8-year-old son, and I have a 6-year-old son, and they're all in my living room. We usually do this from my bedroom, but as I said, we need a little more privacy. So right now I'd like to say hi to Mark Breslin. Say hello, Mr. Breslin.
Hi, Adam, and hi, kids. I want to know the kids' names.
The names of the kids. Well, let's say they can ask to say their own names. Why don't you go, kids? Say your own names.
Canaan.
Canaan and?
Ben.
And Ben.
Samson.
And Samson. These are my children.
Lovely. Nice to meet you.
Nice to be met. They sure are. So at this point in the show, I would just like to take the show and hand it over to them. So I don't waste your time. Normally I just jibber jabber a lot because normally I'm talking to people who have a lot of things just to kick left and right. You're the first man that I'm talking to that actually has an assistant.
Really?
That really works for them. I mean, I know people that have assistants and that need assistance, but you have one that really assisted you.
I did.
Yes, fantastic for you, sir. You're on a list of a very few. I've reached out.
You want to laugh, Adam, because actually my assistant had to call in her assistant to get this to happen. So we only had one more level of assistant to go to, and then we were going to give up.
You know what's so funny about that is that I want to be you. All right, so let's just move forward, kids. My oldest, who wants to be an entertainer, a performer. He does magic, balloons, plays many instruments, sings. He's a writer. He wants to be a football player, but I told him we live in Canada. That's a silly, silly dream. So here we are. So please, Benjamin, take it away.
Hello.
Hi, Benjamin.
Okay, this is my question. So
Okay.
you're a Canadian entrepreneur, the founder of Yuck Yucks, and you're one of Toronto's stars on the list of 180 most influential people to come out of Toronto. So what up?
Well, all those things are great, but I got to tell you, the last one is terrific. And if I were single, boy, I'd be using that in every bar in Toronto. I'm not single, so I don't use that to impress people. But I was pretty impressed when I read that. There are a lot of very worthy people in Toronto that have been born here, and I was kind of really excited to be on that list.
Cool. So how much places have you been to perform?
Oh, wow. I had a real stand-up career for about 20 years, between 1975 and 1995, roughly. And I would say in that time, I probably did, 10,000 performances. I did them all across the country. I had a couple of clubs in the States at that time. I had one in Buffalo, Rochester. I had one in Maui. I had a club in Bermuda, if you can believe that. So I played all those places. And I also did a lot of TV shows. I was on all the shows that were around in the 70s and 80s, shows that don't exist anymore, Thick of the Night, the Renee Simard show, all kinds of stuff like that. But I also produced the Joan Rivers show in Los Angeles in 1985, 1986, which was a terrific experience. And everybody says in your life you'll have a favorite year, and that was my favorite year.
My jaw just dropped. You know, I was told that, but because I wasn't in like I'm in now, my jaw just dropped. That's crazy. Joan Rivers.
Well, you know, I was only brought out there to be the comedy coordinator, which I was for the first six months of the show. And when I was brought out, everybody thought Joan was kind of crazy for bringing in an outsider like me. And I can tell you the story of how she found me. It involved Howie Mandel. But just to skip ahead, when they brought me in, they had so little faith in me that I would actually be able to do the job that they stuck me in a room which had no windows, and it's where they stored the boxes of potato chips that they gave to the performers and the guests on the show before they did the show. So this is me, a tiny desk, a telephone, and 25 cartons of potato chips. By the time I left that show, I was the producer of the entire show, and I had a 360-degree view of the Hollywood sign in a beautiful office that was all glass.
And like that story always seems to go, most Canadians come home.
Well, I knocked around LA at the end of that for about 6 to 8 months, but I really couldn't find a good job that was worth me staying there for. I suppose if I'd stayed there another couple of years, I would have wound up doing something entrepreneurial and maybe landed on my feet that way. But I was living in a really expensive penthouse and driving a really expensive car. I had a really great lifestyle, but my money was sort of draining out and nothing was really happening. Meanwhile, back in Toronto, I had this wonderful company that was being run by other people. And I thought the time was just right to come back. I would have liked to have stayed there. I like Los Angeles. A lot of people don't, but I did.
So you did all these wonderful things, and I want to know who was your influence to do this?
Well, you know, I never really had a mentor in a conventional sense. I was a pioneer, and everything I did, I kind of did by trial and error. And I made lots of mistakes until I ran out of mistakes to make. And then things sort of started to get really good. But I can tell you there was a man named Paul K. Willis, who nobody knows about, but he was a performer in the early 70s. And one of my first jobs in show business was to act as a stage manager for his two-man show, which was himself and another man. And they had a group called La Troupe Grotesque. When the big history of comedy is written about comedy in Toronto and Canada, they will have a very major place in it because they were doing an act that was so far ahead of its time that I think even if they did it today, it would be ahead of its time. Wild, wild, wild stuff. He was a real mentor to me. Also a man named Don Cullen. Don Cullen was one of the people on Wayne and Schuster's rep company when they would do television series, when they would do television shows. But I knew him because he was my boss at my first show business job, which was at Harborfront down on the lake the year that it opened. And I had a job kind of programming, and I learned a lot from him because he was the chief programmer.
Wow. I did you get that, kids? Recognize. Yeah, you don't know who your mentor is going to be. That's kind of what you got out of that. He took different things and spun them into fantastic enterprises. So
that's true, Adam. You know, people will always tell you that hard work is what it's all about. It's all about hard work. It's all about hard work. And of course, yes, hard work counts. But I can't tell you how important luck also plays in all of this. And luck also, you have to be able to recognize luck as it's happening to you. You have to be able to realize that you're being handed an opportunity. A lot of people are handed opportunities, luckily, and they don't recognize them, so they let them pass them by. So it isn't always hard work. Sometimes it's just luck.
Guys, did I not just say that? That was what I was saying. Sadly, my turn of surpassing 50, it became the only thing I ever wanted to be was a smart man. And now I said I'd rather be lucky than smart.
Lucky, the role of luck is really not given credit for in this culture.
I agree. Moving forward, your time is more more precious than my vacancy. Here we go. Samson, please, let's hear from you. I want to hear.
Now, Samson's middle child, right?
No, he's my second oldest.
Second oldest, okay.
Which is middle child. You're correct.
Thank you.
Okay, my questions are, my first one is, what's your favorite thing to do?
Well, I'm a movie freak. I love the movies. I may love the movies more than I actually like comedy. But it's very hard to be in the movie business, so I watch everything. I probably see about 300 movies. Yeah, probably about 300 movies in the theaters every year. And that doesn't count what I watch on TV after hours. I love going to the movies. I always did. I like the silence of it, the darkness. You're lost in a huge image. There was a philosopher named Wittgenstein, very important philosopher, and he used to go to these bad movies during the afternoon, and his students would say, "You're one of the greatest geniuses ever, Dr. Wittgenstein. Why do you go to see cowboy movies and war movies?" And he said, "I go to clear my mind."
Wittgenstein. Nice name.
His name was Wittgenstein, yes. Impossible to read. Don't even try. I gave up.
Oh yeah, what's your favorite movie?
Well, that's also a hard question because it depends on my mood. But I can tell you that, of classic movies that a lot of people have seen and love, Citizen Kane and Casablanca are way up there. But so is an obscure movie called Paris, Texas by a German filmmaker named Wim Wenders. So I like really obscure stuff and I like really conventional stuff. But I'm not big on comic book movies or action heroes.
So now, what's your favorite thing to eat?
Oh, wow. Well, let's talk about different cuisine. I had an eating disorder when I was growing up. I had what they now call PES, but they didn't have a name for it then. That's picky eater syndrome. And when I was a little boy, I would only eat one thing and one thing only for like a year and a half. And it would be maybe a hot dog. I decided I wanted a hot dog and I would eat hot dogs for a year and a half. They used to bring in psychologists to try to figure out what was wrong with me, but I didn't respond. I used to eat bananas and cream for a year and a half. I didn't eat the normal things that kids eat. Every kid loves pizza. Every kid loves chicken fingers. Every kid loves cheeseburgers. But I didn't like these until I was old enough to go out on dates, and I was really embarrassed at the fact that I would try to find bananas and cream on a date. And finally, I ate my pizza and I ate my chicken fingers, and I've become a very interested eater now. I go to very unusual restaurants. I like unusual cuisines. I really like Indian food. I really like Thai cuisine, for instance.
Nice. Okay, now, what's your favorite sport?
Well, here's something I should tell you. I've never been into sports. I play a little tennis because it's gentle and I look good in whites. But other than that, team sports, I've never watched team sports on TV. I might go to a baseball game occasionally because baseball is like the Valium of sport. You just kind of relax. You let it happen out there. You don't even have to watch it. If something interesting happens, it'll have an instant replay, and you can eat those delicious salted peanuts that they give you. How do they get the salt inside the shelled peanut? Please answer me that.
It's my turn. What's your favorite color?
Color has to be blue. Blue looks good on any man. There's not a man in the world that doesn't look good in blue.
Why?
It just flatters everybody's face. Whether it's French blue, like a deep blue, or a powder blue. In fact, I'm looking right now. I'm wearing a powder blue button-down shirt. I always like blue. Maybe because I like the sky, a beautiful summer sky in the day, or maybe because I love to look out in an ocean which is blue. But blue is really the color I like the best.
What's your favorite number?
Wow, that's a tough one. Infinity.
And why?
Because I love the idea that nothing is impossible.
Okay. What's your favorite song?
Wow, that's a tough one. It would depend what mood I'm in. Kind of the same question as the movie in a sense. I can tell you groups I like. I mean, I love the Beatles and I love the Rolling Stones and I love the Beach Boys. I really love the Beach Boys because they're really fun, and I like that. But I also really like singer-songwriters of the 70s, and I like new wave pop of the 80s, and the whole CBGB catalog of Blondie and Talking Heads, and I like old stuff like Elvis and Buddy Holly. But I have to confess to you, I have not listened to a lot of stuff past 1990. It seems kind of derivative and kind of garbage to me.
How old are you?
I'm 63. I just turned 63.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's everything my kids had to ask, and they would say thank you very much.
Why I don't want to listen to anything past 1990, probably.
No, this is awesome. Yes, I signed my soul on the dotted line.